with us here this morning. You can hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Mr. Thank you again. Mr. Blake and Letitia, I have to ask, how is Jacob doing? How is he this morning?
You know, Jacob got shot in his back 7 times. So I can only expect he's doing as someone would that had gotten shot in their back 7 times. I know he's gone under a lot of stress, trauma, and he is probably very exhausted. He's medicated heavily for the pain. So, I mean, that's how he's doing.
Yeah. Mr. Blake, have you been able to have any conversations with your son, or is he just not at this point able to do that?
He's, yesterday he was in and out, he's heavily sedated. There's no doubt about it. So you might get 2-3 minutes of clarity and then nothing else for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, that must be incredibly difficult, and our thoughts are with you. Mr. Crump, given all of this, can you provide some clarity? We've been talking about sort of the political atmosphere that has overlaid this. I spoke with Mark Meadows, who said the president was in touch with the family's pastor. The press secretary said this morning there has been outreach on the part of the White House, but they haven't been able to connect. Ben, what is the status of a potential conversation between Mr. Blake's family and President Trump?
Well, Hallie, thank you for this. I am representing Jacob Blake and his family. My office have received no calls to set up any kind of meeting. I know when Vice President Biden and Senator Harris wanted to make contact with the family, they simply called my office and we coordinated such a meeting. But right now, this family is not focused on politics. Hallie, they are focused on trying to help a young man who has 7 bullets go through his spinal cord, fracture his vertebrae, go into his colon. He lost his colon. Go into his small intestine. He lost most of his intestines. Go into his arm. Go into his kidney. They were able to save his kidney. 2 holes in his stomach. He's lost functions of his bowels. He's lost functions of his male organs. And he is devastated knowing that he can't move his legs and that his 3 young boys witnessed him being shot in that car. They aged 8 years old, 5 years old, and 3 years old. And so you can only imagine the psychological damage these babies are going to have for the rest of their lives. And the 8-year-old birthday, well, how is his birthday going to be for the rest of his life?
And it is a litany of obviously difficulties that Jacob faces. And I want to talk about some of those, Mr. Blake, but Letitia first. Do you want to talk? I mean, I know that Vice President Biden and Senator Harris had reached out. Do you have any interest in speaking with President Trump?
Being that my parents are here and living, and they're actually the head of this, that would be something that they would have to decide. It's not for me to decide. I'm definitely here to speak up for my brother.
We don't want politics to rule.
I don't want politics. This is not about politics. This is about my son.
Yeah. Let me ask you about your son. You very emotionally last week talked about how he was, when you saw him at one point in the hospital, he was shackled to his hospital bed, paralyzed as he is from the waist down. Police later said he was shackled because of that arrest warrant from July, now vacated. I want to know, what do you make of how police have been handling this? Are you confident in this police investigation moving forward?
My confidence is in my attorney. And if my attorney sees something that is inappropriate or not necessary, I'm more than certain that that gentleman down there in that box will stand up for my family to the utmost. So whether I'm secure with what they do or not It has nothing to do with what that gentleman down there in that box will counter with. They say he's a better counterpuncher than Muhammad, but we'll have to find out.
So, Mr. Crump, with that set up, let me go to you then, because police have now put out what is really their strongest pushback yet to the events that unfolded. I'm sure you've seen that statement from the Kenosha Police Union saying that Jacob Blake was trying to take car keys, was confrontational with police, that he was resisting officers. It is a different account than what we had heard, frankly, from you previously. How do you reconcile those claims, and how do you respond to what the Police Association is saying now?
Well, let me say, Mr. Blake and his family are absolutely right. Me and our legal team and a very effective, powerful team of lawyers are on our own investigation on behalf of the Blake family. And as the Attorney General, the District Attorney, and every other elected official has said, the police union does not speak for them. The police union is a union that supports our police officers, in my opinion, no matter how unbelievable the excessive use of force, the brutal use of force used against black people in America. So let's clear that up first. Secondly, Hallie, why do we need to hear anything else or see anything else besides what we see in that video? Because when black people are accused of doing something illegal or nefarious, and if there's a video, they say, we have video evidence. But when it's a police officer doing something bad or killing a black person, they say, oh, we have to put it in context. Let's don't rush to judgment. Well, didn't they rush to judgment when they shot Jacob Blake 7 times in the back? It posed absolutely no threat to them as he walked away, tried to get in the car and get his children out of a volatile situation. And juxtapose that with this young white man who went and shot 3 people, killing 2 of them, and had the assault weapon hanging down his neck and walked right past several National Guard and law enforcement officials. Nobody shot him in the back. Nobody killed him. He made it home uninjured. We just want our children to make it home uninjured.
Well, teacher, this issue of accountability within the police system is one of the themes that happened in the march on Friday here in Washington. You spoke there. You had these words on accountability, on fighting, but not violence, that seem to have resonated with a lot of people. Can you explain why you felt it was important for you to deliver that message?
Because someone needs to do it, number one. Violence and chaos is not what's going to get us to the goals that we need to meet. Black people need to come together and unify and practice group economics, keep our dollars in our community, and build each other up. There's really nothing else that we can do, because there's certainly starting any type of violence or war is, at this point, would be pointless. We need to focus on our communities and building up as and empowering each other. And we're really just sick and tired of the violence. We're tired of it. We don't want to see more of it. We want to see change. That's what we want. We want our children to be able to be safe and not have to worry about being murdered just because their skin is brown. That is absolutely ridiculous. It is 2020. And if we don't start recognizing what the real issues are, it's going to keep happening. And that's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. The police officer
Mr. Blake, you talked
is a
about
police officer. He's not the judge, jury, and executioner. A public service officer's duties do not entail judging and sentencing. And that officer judged, and he sentenced my brother. He tried to sentence him to death, and that was not his place. I want a public service officer to do the job of a public service officer. He is supposed to protect, he's supposed to defend, not execute.
Mr. Blake, you talk about the toll that this has taken on your family. We heard your attorney mention that obviously the kids in the car. Can you tell us anything about how your family's doing and specifically how your grandkids are doing?
My grandchildren unfairly have been under an undue amount of stress simply because they want to see their father. It's an undue, unappreciated, like my daughter just mentioned, the judge, jury, and the executioner took their father away for an amount of time, and we're attempting, as we speak, to get them the correct psychological help that they will need for the future. But the toll on my family, I can't begin to tell you the stress and the depression that it's bringing on my family. His brothers and sisters, it's rough. It's rough. We're standing together undivided. You can't divide us. You can't conquer us. But the casualties of war are real. And war has been...
Mr. Blake and Letitia...
War's been... They raised the flag against us when they shot my son 7 times. That's why I got that guy in that box right there.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for bearing with this delay in this interview as well.
I know it. I'm so sorry. I know it. I'm sorry.
No. Please, I don't want to interrupt you. It's a tough thing with this satellite delay here. Before I do let you go, Ben, I just wanted to touch base with you just to circle back. Obviously, Letitia, Mr. Blake were very complimentary of sort of what you're doing for the family. To be clear, you dispute then what the police union is saying at this moment?
We dispute everything they're saying. This family does not trust what they said, especially when you look at the video of what happened. That was not justifiable, Hallie, no matter what they tried to say to justify it.
Benjamin Crump, Letitia Wideman, Jacob Blake Sr., I can't tell how much we appreciate your